So it's getting recorded, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So our first problem is like three sum closest. We are given an array nums of n integers and a target is given, and we are supposed to find the three integers in the nums such that your sum will be closer to the target, and just return the sum of the three integers. And you may assume that each of the input would have exactly one solution. So if we look at this is the array of integers and target, and this is the sum which is closest to 1. So they have returned 2 as here. And looking at the constraints, you can see the minimum length will be 3, and it can go up to 10 raised to power 3, and nums of I is this, and so on. Yeah. So how do you proceed here? Like,
So actually, like what yesterday Gaurav was saying, we do some whiteboarding session on an approach and start with the brute force first, and at least discuss about the brute force, and then maybe try to see if we could go for
yeah,
a optimized version, right?
sure.
Yeah. So, do you or anyone know about what will be the brute force for this one?
So brute force, I think it should be 3 loops you use, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And just check if it is, I mean, just check the distance from target. If that is closer to target, then better take that element, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or should it be any other? Like,
Oh yeah, I
apart
think
from
that is correct. So every time in all the three loops, if you are iterating, right, you'll try to find, means you'll start from the first index, right, zeroth index, and then keep on adding one index every time, and try to find if the difference, whatever you are getting with the target, it should be closest, right? So we just keep what do you say, a variable of difference, and see if the difference is the absolute value of the difference, and the difference between the current sum and the target is the least, and then we store that difference as well as the result sum, something like that, correct?
yeah,
In the three loop, yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right?
should yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has more things to add, yeah, that should be.
I think somebody has shared in the chat.
Uh-huh.
Is the if he wants to share, like wants to explain.
I don't think this is a brute force, right? Or is it?
Yeah, it's a bit optimized looks like. I mean,
Okay, okay. Okay. So it's saying like if you go through this, and then if I is not equal to the num length, which is 3, and then you have sum is equal to sum plus nums of I. Okay. Yeah, it is a very good solution, right? It's almost O of n. Yeah. Okay, okay, no problem.
that's okay. He is not.
Yeah. So
Apart from yeah, go ahead.
so but this solution is almost O of n, right?
Yeah, it's a bit too much like optimized.
Yeah, very good solution that way. Yeah.
Because he has used only one for loop, and just comparing them. Will it pass the test? Yes. I don't
I don't know, because when you are looking at, is it something to do with the contiguous array? This one, this option looks like that, right? The one which is shared in the chat. Oh, he's saying yes, yeah.
I think we'll have to sort the array before applying this.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
This looks
Yeah.
a fabulous solution, but I think we'll have to sort.
Okay.
Maybe he'll be able to tell us.
Yeah, maybe the beginning thing has. Yeah, he has not what you say.
Mine.
He has not posted the complete solution, but just a snippet of it. Yeah, yeah. Then in that
Exactly.
case, you have to have a sorted one. Yeah, then it should work. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody wants to share in.
Yeah, so even if this is not the solution, other things what they talk about is the three-sum closest solution is similar to something like three-sum solution, right? Where you have two ways of doing it. Either you do it one outer loop going from zeroth index to the last index along with a two-pointer approach inside that outer loop, right?
Yeah, so NQ will boil down in that case also to N square, right?
Yeah, n square, and then you have again you have still have to do a sorting because it's a two-pointer approach, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes. So n square plus n log n, something like that.
Yeah.
So that is one approach, and then maybe another with extra spaces, like you have something like a hash set or so, and then use that. But I'm not sure about that. So these are the two approaches other than the brute force, right?
Can you elaborate a little on the hash set approach?
Well, I'm not sure of that, but I know about the two-pointer. What I mean, I think it's unordered set. You keep the difference, not the difference. I think the target sum minus
The
difference,
thing,
right?
but we did not. I mean, okay, but how will you like? Let's assume that we cannot find the difference. Then how will you get the closest value?
Uh,
I
yeah,
think
that's a
hash
good one.
will work.
Right?
Well, I frankly am not too sure on that front. I might have to
Yeah.
look for some solution, but I think the two-pointer was much better because you don't even have that extra space, right? So that is much
Right.
optimized version. But that is one
Right.
thing they mention most of the time. And if you look for the three-sum approach, you have that one also. And that is discussed after the two-pointer. So I think that might be slightly optimized version of doing it. I'm not sure though. If anyone
But I
has
think,
anything to add, yeah. Hmm.
I think in threesome we were able to use a unordered set because I mean, we had the value of a and b, and we knew like the sum we wanted to achieve. Then we can use sum minus a minus b to get the value of c, right? But here in this case, I mean, we need to find the closest value of c, right? We don't have like an accurate value of c.
That hash rate will work in target sum exactly where you need, like the
Right, right.
three.
Okay, okay. So when you have fixed target, right? That is what you mean to say.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think so here because that closest will make little bit trouble. Like, how do we get the closest sum?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Might be or some manipulation, something.
The
I'm
one
not
thing
sure.
to do is
Yeah,
like
maybe.
the problem is that we do not have any definite element in this case. The way we had in this three sum equal to zero. So one thing we could do using hash set is, but this won't be optimized. Like we can traverse the entire hash set, whatever we have, and check if my current answer is coming lesser than what I found earlier. That will like
Okay.
go, but it will again take one time, right? Yeah, that is there. And we'll again get back to one.
One confusion I have, like if I calculate sum, so suppose my sum is like target is suppose 4 and my sum is either 3, or if I take another length of 3 integers, suppose then sum is 5. So 3 is considered close to 4 or 5 is considered close to 4?
Both I think are approximately like 3 and 4 both possible answers.
You mean 3 and 5 both
Because
are
we are
possible answers for target 4?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because you're taking the absolute difference, right?
Right, right.
exactly. Yeah.
And in the code shared in the chat, it just looks like he has added first 3 integers and just checking if it is greater or less. In any way, it is returning sum. Looks like that.
Yeah, I don't think so that's accurate. I can't comment, but he's not taking care of some distance, right?
Looks
But
like
so
just adding
Trying to
first
find that
3.
point of inflection.
Yeah, I think so. Gaurav also saying this code might not work. It looks like, yeah. But yeah.
it's like just first three integers of the array are added, and anyway it will be less or more than target. So we are just return the sum. So confusing.
Yeah, I think the two-pointer approach is the most optimized version. That is, I would say, for this one, right? I think Ronnie, you and Shashank, do you agree on that, or
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that
right? Yeah,
most optimized.
yeah. So we have something to share. Anyone?
Yeah, if somebody wants to share, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll stop.
I can share.
yeah. Go ahead, please. Before that, can you just you know discuss that approach on a whiteboard, Ronnie? I think Ronnie is sharing, right? Shashank?
No, not. I'm not sharing. Someone else is sharing, I think.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, so somebody sharing?
Yeah,
Okay.
Harshit. Yeah, Harshit, can you just explain on a whiteboard so bit of your approach? You're not audible, or is it my problem?
Yeah. So
Oh.
where do I find the whiteboard?
Or if you just unshare this first, and then when you go to the Zoom screen, and again you try to share, you will see a whiteboard.
Okay. So shall I explain it here only, like below the
Okay,
code?
no problem. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So okay.
You
So
will have
as
to
we
again share.
discussed,
Sorry, you will have to again share because you unshared it. No?
okay. Is it visible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So the way we discussed was taking a triplet like NC three times and then checking for each triplet whether the sum value is somewhere close to target or not. So one optimization I could think of is that if we sort the array and one by one pick an element and loop over the rest of the array for the two elements, I think I can get the sum in a monotonic way. So that was the intuition. So for example, if I sort this array minus
Mm-hmm.
4, minus 1, 1 and 2. So I can easily, for example, I have taken minus 4 as my static element, and the rest two elements I'll look for by traversing the rest of the array. So for example, so next element would be minus 1 from the left side and 2 from the right side. So my sum would be minus 4 plus minus 1 plus 2. So that would be minus 3.
Right.
So basically, I would find the difference of this and the target and check whether I have a smaller difference before or not.
Okay.
So I'll this would form a part of my answer. And the next step would be like if this value is less than the target value, then because my aim is to get to as close to the target, so I will increase my sum. And that can be done by increasing my left pointer because my array is now sorted. The
Okay.
other case is when my sum is greater than target. So just to come close to the target, I will decrease my sum, and that can be done by moving the right pointer towards the left. So this is how sorting helped us.
Okay. So in this case, where you are actually walking through on line 31, when you had a sum here, you were actually working on this one, right? When you had that -3, and then if you subtract that with the target, which is -1, right? So
That is
-3 -1, right?
right.
So it will be -4. So it will be an absolute value, right? 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So can we just go,
Yeah.
walk through that whole thing? So we'll come to know how it is,
So I have taken the answer as 100, 1000. Sorry.
The
So
highest side, right? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so earlier I had taken this as int max, but I was getting a runtime error because if if my answer comes out to be negative, sorry, yeah, say if answer comes out to be negative, and this is also negative, so negative and negative would make the number overflow. So I conveniently took it as the largest number, which is there in the constraints, 10 to the
Oh,
power 3.
okay, no problem.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah. Mhm.
So the next thing is that I have sorted the array, and then I have picked an element, which is x here, and then I ran a loop from the I plus 1 till the n minus 1th index. So this loop is from line 14. So if sum of these three variables x, num a and num b minus target is lesser than uh, any pre-found difference, then I save this triplet.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
the other the other two cases are if my current triplet sum is greater than target, then I shrink my uh, current window from the right end. I decrement the right pointer, and if the sum is less than the target, then I move my left pointer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, yeah, that is right. But actually, someone, okay, so Gaurav is also saying that Zoom has a whiteboard option. So people were expecting if we can actually explain on the whiteboard, but fine. I think this looks okay, right? If anyone has any questions about that this approach, he's explaining the two-pointer approach, right, Shashank?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyone wants to actually add on to that? I think this looks yeah okay in sense of the code walkthrough also. But if someone wants more in this.
Can you explain line number 6? Like, why did you take ans equal to 1000?
Yeah. So if I take it as so conveniently, I initialize it as int max. But there was a case. Suppose if this is int max, then if this target element is somewhat large, then int max plus the target element would exceed the integer range.
Okay, but if you take 1000, and what if the numbers are like the difference between the target and the sum is actually greater than 1000, and won't it return 1000 as your answer?
Sorry, come again.
So let's say the numbers are I don't know 1, 2, and 3, and the target you want is 4000.
Okay.
Okay, in that case, the difference will be like 3997 or something, and but your answer is initialized with 1000. So won't you be returning 1000 there?
So my answer. Let's go through an example.
Maybe in that case, he could take the target's maximum value is a 10,000 there also, right? That should also be fine. He just wants to take some higher value, and I think therefore he has taken that value.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the constraint also.
Uh, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm still able to follow.
So you
Like,
can
can
tell
you
me
take an
an
example of? Yeah,
yeah.
can you take an example? The numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and the target is, let's say, 4000.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
answer would be 9, right?
Right.
Okay. So first I fix 1, and then I go to 2 and 4. So my answer comes out as 6. 6 plus 1, 7. So 7 minus target. 7 minus target is 3.
3993.
3993, and on the right side I have 1000 minus this 4000.
This is 3000.
This is 3000. Okay. So which one is lesser? This is lesser. So this is greater. Sorry.
Yeah. So you'll not update the answer, right?
Yeah.
And even in like when you take 2, 3, and 4, you'll still not update the answer, right?
I think there might be different ways to optimize this and get enhance it. That is, I think, should be fine. It might
Perhaps is
yeah, Harshit might be able to make a workable solution in that case also. But actually, the approach is of a 2 point, right? That is what we are trying to discuss. There might be some
Yeah.
code things here and there. That's okay, right? So, because let's not, put more time on that, right?
Okay, okay, sure.
Yeah. But overall, the approach is 2 pointer with a outer loop, and we traverse the outer loop in O of n times, and then we just do the 2 pointer approach.
yeah.
That is what I got from this one, and that is what I think we all were discussing also. Ronnie, Shashank can be right.
Yeah, that is the main
Right.
crux.
That was the main thing. But plus or minus things are there. But yeah, we need to actually, we also got some view of a code, and that is okay. Now we know how to implement it. But there might be some better things to do about this one. Or maybe this
Just to
also
fix,
will work. I'm not sure. Yeah.
just to fix this, you can like initialize the answer with the first three values of the array, like num0 plus nums1 plus nums2.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. No problem.
I'll
Yeah.
try run this once again and then I'll get
Sure, no issues. Overall, I think this is good. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you, Harshit. So, does anyone has any questions on this approach or something we want to discuss further on it? Yeah, Shashank? Yeah.
Okay, then I'll share.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Same as Harshit were discussed. So first I'm sorting the entire array, so that increasing and decreasing the pointer would be easy. Like we'll come to know if we increase the left pointer, sum is increasing. If we're decreasing the right pointer, sum is decreasing. So it's running up to length of nums minus 2, and your start will be I plus 1 and end is this. And as long as your start is less than end, this is the current sum. And this is where I'm checking if I've taken closest sum as the int max. I mean, in C++ it might be int max. Here it's like big float number. So if this distance is greater than this distance, then definitely your closest sum will be your this will be your closest sum. And if it is less than target, that means you need to increase your start pointer. And if it is less, then decrease this, and at last just return the closest one.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the same.
So,
The 2 pointer approach, right?
Yeah, sure. Maybe in Python it's working. I don't know what Harshit was saying, like 1,000 he has taken. So
Yeah, infinity is fine. You can use infinity. I mean, we can use int max as well, but the issue was that if you use int max, then it was overflowing. So this works.
So what is the difference between infinity and int max? Like int
It
max
was
will be
basically
6535. Like okay, go ahead.
sorry.
No, I mean int max will be like 65535. That is 2 raised to power 32 minus 1 or plus 1.
Right. So it was just overflowing because of the addition, as Harshit said.
Okay.
And also Python has a different way of handling big numbers,
Right.
So they don't
Exactly,
easily
yeah.
overflow. So yeah, that is, it's again
More of
language dependent. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No problem. But
somebody wants any question like in this queries?
yeah, that is okay. Yeah.
We can switch to next, or if somebody wants to share something.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think we should, even if we go to the next one, we should actually discuss the problem on a whiteboard. That will be slightly better, because
Yeah,
there
sure,
are some folks which even they might be just new and they would like to understand how we are coming up with. I would say that is the best way to do first.
So shall for this, shall we discuss on whiteboard or from next?
Yeah, if you can do that, yeah, it's good. Yeah, because at least we take a simple example of the first one.
So this is like our number line, and we have your target sum over here, right? And I've taken something like infinity my closest sum, and this is my current sum. So what I'm trying to do, the distance between the current sum and this, the target. Let's say this is x, and the distance between the current sum and the infinity, this is y. So if my x is lesser than y, then definitely my closest sum will be what? Equal to current sum, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the like the main crux of,
Yeah.
over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. So let's do that at the beginning of each problem. And one more thing I just wanted to know, Shashank, if we have duplicates, how do we handle in this code? I just want the overall like your thoughts on it. I don't want a detailed one. But do we have, because we never even discussed about that during the requirements gathering, right?
Yeah.
That
So
won't
for
be
duplicates,
duplicates.
I think if there is, then just one line, like if your nums of I, if this is equal to your nums of I minus 1, and secondly, because since I minus 1 we are doing, so we have to check I should be greater than 0. Otherwise, if you are in 0th index, you'll hit minus 1, right?
Okay.
So, if
So
this
we'll
is
have to
like
take
this,
care of
just
that, yeah.
exactly. Here, I think they are telling exactly one solution you'll have.
Okay, that
So
is
this
what is
will work.
mentioned. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you may assume exactly one solution.
Okay, yeah, then that makes sense. Yeah. I'm sorry
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, it's okay.
But I mean, it's good. Like they can add this in the interview.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we can
Yeah. Switch. Yeah, let's switch to the.
So our next is sorry. So this is like can make palindrome from a string. Here given some of the queries left, right, and the best part is that it's a substring, but still you can rearrange the substring s of left to s of right, and then choose up to k of them to replace any of the lower letters. Now, if the substring is possible to a palindrome, you need to return true, else return false, and just there will be multiple queries. So append your answer. I mean, get your results in the answer, and at last, just to return your answer. So if we look, so I think we can discuss this. So if we look at the string like A, B, C, D, A. So queries, let's say one query will be like.
First is 3. Let's take as per the example. I'll let you know. Yeah. So first is 330.
Yes, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So
Yeah.
330 first query, right?
Yeah.
So 330 means your this is your left, and this is your right, and this is how many characters you can change to make it a palindrome. So they are telling you're supposed to change only 0 character, and your 3 is this. So you have only one character, and that is itself by itself is a palindrome, and you don't need to change. So you are supposed to return true in this case.
Yeah.
And
so single element will always be a palindrome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other is 1, 2,
Similarly,
0. Or let's take
1,
0, 3, 1. 0, 3, 1. That will be.
Yeah, that better. Yeah. So 0, 3, 1 is like, so you'll have 0 to 3. That means A, B, C, D, and you're supposed to change only one characters. So even if you change one characters, you won't be able to make it a palindrome. The reason behind that, if you look at the rule of a palindrome, you are supposed to have only one element with odd occurrences, but here are all the 4 elements with odd occurrences. So by changing one, you will not be able to derive the palindrome out of it.
Yeah.
It's like this. Look at the rules of a palindrome. So either all the characters should be even, like AABB is there, then all the characters occurring should be even. Then only it can make a palindrome. So you can rearrange it like ABB is one of the palindrome, or you can have only one character which is occurring odd number of times. This one. So
Yeah, if-
this B. So this is one of the palindrome. So if they follow these two norms, then they are supposed to be called as a palindrome.
Okay. So you're trying to explain the odd and even both of this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So in odd, one odd is allowed, and if you have multiple even, then that doesn't make any difference. So it is a palindrome in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah. That's right.
So any ideas like how do you proceed?
Yeah. So we are assuming, no, if the constraint says that they are all lower cases, so we don't have to worry about that. And the length is going to be like 10⁵. Okay.
Yeah.
So any questions about the requirement clarifications and anything?
So I have a small observation.
Uh-huh.
Maybe
Go
that
ahead.
if the value of k is greater than half the length of the substring, then in that case, I think we'll be able to make any substring as a palindrome, right?
Value of k is greater than half the. Yeah, I think so. But it only depends on if you have odd or even. That is one minor thing, right? But yeah, that you can anyway check it. But still, it is okay, even if it is odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Flip the half.
Yeah. Also, if as Shashank explained about if both of the left and right, the first index and the second index, zeroth index and the first index, if they both are same, then it is a palindrome by default. Yeah. We don't have to even go and check the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. So now, how do we check a palindrome? Is just actually go and through the string and take the indexes and actually get all the characters, the lowercase characters, put in some map or so, find the frequency of them, and just find if they are they have different values, right? Like if they are all evens and something like that, and then we see if it is possible to be converted into palindrome or not, and on a very high level, right? So that is a normal approach to do. So that would be a brute force also.
If we check, it's good, right? In palindrome only up to mid if we check, will that?
Yeah. So you are saying that you take the first index and the second index and you start iterating from the outer, the left and right, and then just keep going inside. You know. So if you don't find any of them equal, it means that it's not a palindrome. But you keep on doing that till you hit the number of whatever the allowable changes are, right? Whatever the last indexes. Yeah. So if it is allowed, then you keep doing it, and then if you are able to cross the left and right pointers, or maybe if you are on the left and right pointer for the odd case, then it means that that you are able to create a palindrome. So, but that will be a brute force way of, right? You go through the query array every time for each and everything. Every time you take both the indexes and go for the string and find out all those whether it is that string is a palindrome or not. But that will be a brute force way of doing it on a high level, right? So
yeah. So, and that will like for every query order of n, right?
Yeah, for every query. Anyway, we have to do for every query. Yeah, there might be a better way of doing it also. Yeah, but I was thinking like you do it for each and every query. Find if there is a palindrome based on the first index and the second index of that query, and also possibly the other counts also how much you are allowed to change. And if it is so, there is not much of a what you say data structure or any algorithms involved in it, other than actually checking for a palindrome. So the problem looks to be straightforward. The brute force, I'm saying, not
more of a rule.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking like, I mean, do we really need to check if it is a palindrome? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a. I mean, I'm still thinking about it. So what if we have like, maybe a 2D matrix and pre-process the number of number of unique characters in a range. Like let's say if you have A, B, C, D, A, the first example, what if we try to pre-process the number of unique characters? Like let's say if we take A, B, C, D, A, the number of unique characters is 4, right? So if the input index range is 0 to 5, like let's say if it is like complete, the input has like start and end as complete string, and because the k can be anything, right? The k will be varying.
Right.
So when if we know the number of the unique characters, and depending on the length, we know, like, to get a palindrome, how many unique characters we need in a substring.
Yeah. But that is a optimized version of doing that. Yeah, I think so. You're right, Shashank?
Yeah, I think
so.
yeah. Little.
So you do the pre-processing for each and every element, because you might have that k value anywhere, right? So
Yeah.
okay.
So is it a right way? I mean, will that work? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking like, we could do that, but I not, maybe I have to try it on different examples to see if it exactly
No,
works.
I think we have to do some pre-processing. That is for sure. Exactly. Because other than you won't be able to do it, because if you keep on checking the palindrome the way I was saying on in a brute force way, yeah, that is the easiest way to come up with a solution, but it won't pass all the test cases. In the sense, it will take a time complexity will be too much.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll have to do some pre-processing, but your thought process is right, I would say.
Okay.
We'll have to do that. Yeah. But only the way how we do it, that is important, because you are saying we need to count all the unique characters, right?
Yes.
So, and then you are trying to say find the frequency of all the characters, right? And then find out how much of them are there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
how many characters are allowed? I mean, length he has to take care, no? Odd, even, no?
Yes, odd and even matters, because when it is odd and even, the length, the unique characters may be different.
Exactly. That would be one of the points.
Yeah, he's saying something like a map, or maybe don't take a map, but a 2D array, and start with the first element. Like if it's A, for the A, you just find how much, because in the first index is only A, right? One element. So A will have only one. So go for the second. At that time, you'll have A and B. Then you find for A and B how much they are. Like A will be 1, B will be still 1. And then for the third, you will have A, B, C. Right, Sandeep? That is the way you are thinking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then you do for ABC, then you do for ABCD. And so this will be the first, second, third, fourth row. And at the end, the last row will be for all A, B, C, D, A. So in that case, you will have A2, B will be 1, C will be 1, and D will be 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the correct way of doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I also looked at some of the discussions, because for me that TLE, I did the brute force way, and then I got into the TLE. So I thought it's such an easy thing. Why is giving me a TLE? Then I thought, okay, there are some other ways to do it. But Sandeep came up with a solution. That is the right thing, I would say.
Exactly.
You have to do pre-processing, and then only you will be able to cross that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So so you need to pre-process, and then also when you do a pre-processing, the only other thing we need to take care of, because we are starting from a different index also in some cases. Like in the first example, you see we start from first index instead of the 0th index, and in some cases we might start from the 3rd index also, right? So in that case, whatever the previous part of the index, the lower side of the index, we need to subtract from that pre-processed values, because we have to look for that specific string between the low and high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
between the left and the right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So even if you do a pre-processing, we still have to do some some more pre-processing. What do you say? Some more subtractions. We need to subtract something from the lower index, and then we will be able to get the correct what you say, the frequency count for that particular range, and then we verify that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And as you said, odd and even, you just look for how many odds are there, right? That is what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if the odds actually fit with that k value, k divided by 2, right? So you'll have to find out whatever the values in the range you get for the odd ones. If you divide them by 2, and if you find the k is actually greater than or equal to that value, then you are able to actually make it as a palindrome, convert it as a palindrome, right?
Yeah. So I was just thinking, like, are you saying like we need to store the unique character length also? Like we need to store, like if you take a complete string, do we need to store number of unique characters are like A as 2, B as 1, C as 1, D as 1?
Yeah, that is what I was thinking.
Okay.
So did you have any other different way of because there might be many ways to do it, but if you want,
I was thinking like, maybe if you have ABCDA, right?
Mm-hmm.
The number of unique characters is 4.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let's say if input is like 0 to 4, and the k is like, let's say 1.
0 to 4. Okay.
Okay. So the number of unique characters is 4, but to form a palindrome for the length of 0 to 4, maybe I need some math there, like to calculate. To have a palindrome, I need to, maybe if it is odd, maybe it is like the length is, number of unique characters should be 3, right?
Or k you have to increase, I think.
The k is passed, right? So I can replace only number of those many number of replacements I can make, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Equals as well, right?
I think to make a palindrome, the number of unique characters should be less than or equal to half the length.
Yeah, half the length, right? So if we have that number of unique characters, and if we get the k, if you add it or subtract it, and see if it is like a substring length by 2, like half of the length of a substring, then it is a palindrome.
Yeah. That is. But maybe, I will just describe it on a whiteboard the way I thought about it. And then if you want, you can add that. Sandeep. Yes, Shashank also, yeah. So I'll just go with the first one. So we had this A, B, C, D, A, right? So what I was thinking, I go through this each and every character one by one. So this is my first row, and I'm storing through 2D matrix. Okay, so this is my first row. In the first row, I'm just taking A, right? In the second row, I'll be taking A and B. Okay, so the frequency of A is 1. In second also, the frequency of A is 1 and B is 1. And for the third, it will be A is 1, okay, B is 1, and C is 1, okay. And for the fourth, I'm actually having the same, like A, B. Actually, this is not a very good example to explain that, but still fine. A, B, C, and then we have D as 1, correct? So these are the frequency counts for each and every one. And for the fifth one, A will be 2 in this case, right? And the rest will be the same. So what I was thinking, maybe there is slight difference in what I was thinking and what Sandeep was. So he might bring that later. But if we have this matrix already pre-processed, and then we have the queries which start from 330, right? The first one. So if you go to 3, so I will go to this one, right? Yeah, right. So if I go, no, this 3 will be 4. So I'll go to this one.
Why 4?
Yeah, 4 only.
Because 3 is 0 based, right?
Yeah.
So I'll
Okay.
go to 4. And so in that, if I look for this one, in that case, this third index will be B, right? In this case, so this one, right? So I'll just come here, and what I will do is this low value is also 3. So whatever is before 3, okay. So I think before this one, actually, I will take this value, okay, and I will subtract from this row. So I will subtract from this one. So A1, B1, C1 will go away, and then I will get a string, whatever say the matrix or the array of only D1, right? And in that case, I will compare with my K. So K is nothing, and then I will return, okay, I can create a palindrome. So that is the way I was thinking about. Yeah, so for another example, if I take 0, 3, and 2, so okay, maybe 1, 3, sorry. So if I take it as a 1, 3, so 1, 3 will be so this will be the first one here. Okay, this is the high side, right? And the 1 will be here. So I will be just subtracting this guy from here. So I'll be having
1 would be the second row.
the second row, but yeah, but I will be subtracting only the A1 from here, right?
Right.
So 2 minus 1. So I'll just subtract. So my output will be B, C, and D. You know, all of them have a frequency 1. And in that case, I will just find how many of them are odd. In this case, all 3 are odd, right? 1, 2, and 3. So I will have an odd count of 3. And because they all are odd count, so I'll find even the size of the string will be odd. So I will subtract 1 from it. So earlier I have odd count of 3. I'll subtract 1 from it. So I'll get 2. And so this 2 is greater than or equal to this 2, right?
Yeah.
So then that makes a palindrome. So that is what when I went through one of the discussions forum, I got this one. It might be a very lengthy way of doing it, and there might be much optimized way of doing, but this is what I could understand, you know.
So actually this K is like 2. So in fact you can like your K is meant for changing that one character. So if you change one character, the other one automatically gets changed. So I think with 1 K, like with 1 repair, you are basically making 2 changes.
Correct. Yeah, that is correct. So that also should work.
So if it is K is 2, that means like you can make 4 repairs. And then for the you can just check the length of the string. And if it is odd, like you can make 1 extra repair. Like can I explain?
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
1 minute.
Stop it.
Is it Google plus 1, something like that?
Santosh.
Sorry?
Yeah.
How are you handling the characters? Hello.
Yeah, Uday. Yeah.
Some characters might have been already equal, right? How are you handling that?
So if it is even, I don't count it, because if they are equal, it means they will be even, right?
No, I mean, some might be equal at their corresponding indexes. So you might not have to take care. But some might not be equal. I mean, they might not be at their I and J corresponding left and right indexes of that substring.
Well, okay, Uday, let us get back to, let her finish it. But I think, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. Yeah, I right now I don't have any answer on that. But I was thinking, like, are you saying like if the character at the left and right pointer are same? That is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, they might or might not be same. How are you handling that? So if they are already same, you might have a different. I mean,
but here we don't find at the any position, because we just have to see how we can manipulate it. You know, we can move the characters anywhere. That is what it says. You don't have to be index specific.
No. If you see the screen, A, B, C, D, C, B. if you take if you separate the A, B, C, D, C, B, B and B are not equal. Actually, they are not at their, they are identical, but they are not at their corresponding indexes to become a palindrome. But if you take the whole string, B and B are at the corresponding indexes, but so they will not be added to the repair. I mean the K count. So I was asking, how were you handling that?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, that is one thing I need to, yeah, I'm not saying it is the correct way to do it or most efficient way to do it, but what I thought, like you are given any string, you just find the frequency of it, correct? So if you have all the frequencies are even, you don't even count them because they will automatically make a palindrome, but only you count the odd ones because they are more important, because those only are the ones which we need to change. And I think, as Sonal said, if you divide that by 2, because 2 odd, you just have to have one change, right?
Yeah.
If you have 2 in
So
two,
basically, if this is like same I've done first as
okay, let her finish, Uday, then we can discuss
Okay,
about that.
sure.
Yeah.
yeah, like this is my string, and index is like A is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So at 0th index I have A is equal to 1. At 1 index I have equal to 1, B equal to 1, and it goes on same till 3rd index, and on 4th index what I have is now C equal to, so I just update that. On the 5th also I now increment B to 2, and on 6th what I did is I incremented A to 2. So if you now see at the 6th index, basically we have like A equal to 2, B equal to 2, C equal to 2, and D equal to 1. So what we see is like um, these are all even, so we don't need to check this, and one odd is fine. Like one odd we can have in our string to make it a palindrome. Now if I have, like, suppose E equal to 3, F equal to, suppose, again 3, F is also 3 now, and if my K which is given is suppose 1, so with one repair, like if it is F, I can with with K equal to 1 I'm doing just one repair. So I'll just deduct F to, I'll convert my E to, sorry, I'll convert my 1F to E. So that will, what it will do, it will deduct 1F and increment 1 E, right? I
Correct,
hope
correct.
everyone got this. So with my one repair, basically what I'm doing is I'm making, with 1K, I'm making 2 repairs. So which is making like, it is converting to even, like my like characters are converting now to even. Now it is still, if I have my string with these frequencies of the characters, so it will still be a palindrome.
Because you have a single odd now.
Yeah, now so the only condition we have is like for K equal to like anything, suppose 2, you just uh, total odds allowed, basically how many odds are allowed to us will be equal to 2 into K plus of like we can just now calculate the length of the string. So 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 6 plus 7 plus 4 11 plus 13. So 13 is the length of the string here. Length is equal to 13, and this is like odd string. So if I just do modulo 2, so this will be equal to 1. So I just add 1 here because that is allowed. So my total odds allowed will be like 2 into 2, suppose if K is 2, 2 into 2 is 4 plus 1, that is 5. This will turn to 5. And if suppose now I just check in this how many odds I have. Like I have only one odd, sorry, D equal to 1 is just single odd. Here I
Yeah.
have only one odd, so I'm keeping like count of odd equal to 1, and and I'm keeping count of total odds allowed, and now I'm just comparing. if my odds is less than equal to total odds allowed, it will return true, otherwise false.
Yeah, very well explained. That's good. Yeah. So,
This
but
is
Can you
why,
once more that 2K once more? Can you like? I mean, how
okay,
did you get
for,
that 2K?
okay, 1 minute. Suppose till here, suppose E was 3 and F was also 3, and I was given K equal to 1. This was the condition. Now, what I can see right now from till here to here, like I have D1, E3, F3, like 3 characters are odd in number. But for the palindrome, I can make K is given 1. That means I can use it. So what I'll do is I'll just deduct F from here. I'll make it 2, and I'll just add E. The change I made in F, like I just converted my F to E basically.
right. So just
Yes.
by making the single change of converting one F to E, so you have made two of those elements, that is E and F, converted to evens now, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
3 minus 1, this will become 2. So
Yeah.
my basically I have got E and F as the even characters. So that means they will surely make palindrome, and these were already making palindrome. And only
Right.
now I have just one odd, and which will not make any, like which will not disturb our palindromic string.
Right. So basically, you have to see how much odds you have, and if you can convert those odds into evens based on your K value, so you
Yeah.
are actually eliminating those from that race. And at the end, you just count how many odds you have, okay? And
Yes.
if they still satisfy our K condition, and also the length of those odds, if they are odd, you can still have you can deduct one of them, because the middle one will be always an odd, and then you can surely form a palindrome, right? So that is what you are trying to say.
Yeah, and like this is basically I'm just calculating like how many odds I can have in my this string. So basically this is giving me like these many I have, and what is the total number I have in
Yeah,
after converting. Like
yeah,
now only one is there.
sure. I think, yeah, that's a good explanation. Yeah.
So are you saying that if the frequencies of all the characters are even, then
Uh-huh.
that particular string would always be a palindrome?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So for
That's
example,
the
yeah.
if
rule.
AB AB,
All the frequencies are even, and one can be odd, because
Yeah.
that we can put in center, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not mandatory. I mean, even if you have
No.
all
Just I'm just
then
telling the condition. Like it can be like you can remove
yeah,
this
sure,
D.
sure.
Then also it is
Mm-hmm.
palindrome.
Right.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was just giving one, like this is a one use case.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 So if the
The-
string is,
yeah.
let's say, if the string is AB AB,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so uh, this is not a palindrome, right?
No,
No,
but
you are supposed to
we
rearrange
have to
them.
convert it. We have to arrange it anyway. You arrange it
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah. Sequence and the sequence doesn't matter. It is written in the
Got the
question.
question now.
Because
So
earlier
that,
I was also of the same opinion. I have to stick to the characters at the indexes and then convert them into palindrome. But then later on, when I went to the discussion forum, actually it was my bad. I didn't read the problem statement properly. But it was like you can arrange it in any indexes. So as
yeah.
long
So
as you count have a frequency count, that should be enough. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
sequence is not doesn't matter. So we just keep the counts into the pre-processing and everything.
Yeah.
So I just came up with this thing before, but I was stuck in the pre-processing. Then I took some time to do that.
Yeah. No, but this is very well explained. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. So you have
We
any
can
code to
apply
share?
this.
Because I think we need to do time check also. We are almost for this problem. Yeah, Shashank, go ahead. You had something?
No, I was saying we can apply this rule in some other problems also, like counting the nearest palindromes. This concept like 2K plus 1.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, it might be applied. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I can share the code if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Let's do walk through with the code.
1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
Are you able to see?
Yes.
Okay. So, like, okay. So my main, the function starts from here. What I have done is like, I have created the 2D array only. This is vector bool v is the which I'm returning later on, and this is where I've created my 2D array basically. And here what I'm doing is like uh, here I've initialized my first because alphabets are 26, so I've initialized that array to 0, and then I'm just taking one by one from my string s and
You are creating the
calculating the
frequency.
frequency count and storing with the index. Like, so this will be, this count empty will be more like suppose at 0th index I have my a count, which will be also 0 equal to 1 at now this is like initialized till 26 because alphabets are till 26. So for 0 index there will be like 0 1 2 till 26 some count, which I'm not writing here right now.
No
So for
problem.
first index it will be 0 equal to 1, and like for suppose my string was like a b c d. So, and for one index only, at 1 it will be again 1, right? And for rest all it will be 0.
Yeah.
Similarly for the others also, for like second index, if I'll check, this will be something like 0 equal to 1 and 2 1 equal to 1 again, and 2 2 equal to 1.
Yeah.
So like this count empty 2D array will be like made here.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No problem.
Okay, then this is just one time activity we are doing. Then
That's
what
that's the pre-processing you did for the
yeah,
whole string. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, then I'll just taking my queries one by one and taking it to the function can be palindrome, and calculating the answer and pushing it back to my vector v and
Okay.
returning that vector. So we can just now look at the can be palindrome function. So this is my can be palindrome function. What I've done is like I first okay, let's look at this loop first. So int left, right, and k we have passed here. So what I'm doing is suppose suppose my left was 1, left was 1 and right was, suppose it was 2. Let's suppose this is our what we have in our query. Now I just subtract all the values in this loop. So one thing to consider, like left should be greater than 0, otherwise it will give some overflow error. And I'm just subtracting my right index from the left index using this. So basically this is like, suppose if it is 5, sorry, 1 1 plus 1 1 plus 1 2, no, so suppose my array is like 1 2 3 4 and 5. So my calculations will be like 1 3 3 plus 2 5 5 plus 4 will be 9, and 9 plus 5 will be 14. So suppose if I my index was left is 1 which is here, and right is 2. So I'll do 5 minus 1, which will be 4.
Okay.
Uh, So we just subtract.
So it's like the prefix sum. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here I've done that, and I've also calculated like how many characters are there in my this final array, like count I array, which I've initialized to 26.
Okay.
So, and then I also calculated like how many odd number of characters we have.
Okay.
Like suppose A was 1, B is 2, C is 3. So here I have suppose 2, C is 3 and A is 2. So I have total odd equal to 2 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then total allowed, I have calculated the one thing which I've explained earlier.
Yeah.
Here, and then I'm just checking if it is less than that, then I'm returning true, otherwise false.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. So, yeah, anyone has any questions on that? Uday, you had something. Can we discuss that here?
No, I got it. I didn't see that rearrange one. That's why I was asking the same doubt someone has asked it.
Yeah, I also had that doubt, Yeah. So I proceeded with that, and then it was always giving me a TLE. I was comparing the whole string one by one. So yeah, then later on I found this is the easiest way of doing it. Yeah, but it's not easy to understand though initially, but once you go through it, then yeah, Sonal made it very clear now. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think we lost Shashank again. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, we lost Shashank. Okay. Okay, so he's not here, so maybe I'll just proceed with the. Yeah, okay. So if we don't have any questions on that, let us move to the next problem, right? Is that okay to move?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to this one till he comes back. But this is a very, okay, I was also not able to completely understand this problem though. So it talks about the max sum of a rectangle. And it says the max sum of a rectangle should no larger than k. And we are given a 2D matrix and an integer value k. So we need to find the max sum of the rectangle in the matrix in such a way that the sum should not be larger than this k value. So in this matrix where we have 1, 0, 1, 0, minus 2, 3, so we can form a value, we can form a sum of value 2 by using these 4 elements 0, 1, minus 2, and 3. And that is the max number which is not larger than k. So you can have a value equal to k, but k or lesser than k. And the constants or whatever the note says is the rectangle inside the matrix must have a area greater than 0. And if the number of rows is much larger than the number of columns, then, so these are the questions. I don't know what, yeah. So if we don't have a square matrix, that is what he means to say. So what do we, how do we handle that, right? Yeah. So Shashank, are you back?
Yeah, actually, I was like, net got disconnected.
No problem, yeah.
So k equal to 2 they have given. So could have been the first row 1, 0, 1.
You're right.
1 cross 3, right?
Yeah.
But
so why it is like a, yeah, but yeah, it might be many. Yeah, there might be many ways to do it. But I think why they took this as an example, I'm so not sure. Maybe they're always considering a square matrix to come with that sum.
Exactly, that is what I'm thinking. They might have taken square matrix.
I think they're just looking for the maximum value.
Okay. Okay. So whatever the way you find it is fine, right?
Yeah.
So frankly, I found this sum to be very hard to implement also. And even I was going through the
Exactly.
implementation, I didn't understand it very properly. So any one of you have any solutions, want to discuss, that will be really great and helpful for everyone, I would say. Because they discuss something about, creating a prefix, sum of the whole area, whole matrix. And then when you go to a particular element, again, you traverse the whole matrix. And then when you go to any element, you again find its sum, by subtracting the other ones. Frankly, it was out of my thoughts, so how can I catch them and how can I digest it? But anyone has other way to explain it, it will be great.
Is it somewhat like the 2D prefix sum?
Yeah, no, no problem. So if you can actually, yeah, I just unchat it because mine is not working. So the whole solution is.
Uh, I think let's say the matrix like 101.
Are you sharing something? I'm not able to see it.
You're not able to see. Uh,
No, still not.
Up is not like
Oh, we lost him again. Oh, okay. He's trying to say something about. Yeah, other than Shashank, anyone has any thoughts on that before he returns back?
For 1D, you can, I mean, you can, if you have a solution for 1D, you can change that solution to work with 2D, right?
Yeah. But how to actually, yeah, that is the whole way it should work. But the implement per se, how do we do it?
So for 1D, you can actually take all the, you can take a prefix sum and you iterate over all ij, and for every ij you try to find the sum, and you compare whether it is whether it is equal to k, I mean less than or equal to k or something like that. And then if whenever you find a k, you return that number.
Okay, so
Similarly, for
I will share the code which had something, so then maybe you can just explain there, because yeah, this is one which I just copied it from the discussions forum. So now when you're trying to do a prefix sum, right? There's something like that you are trying to, right? So for the 1D, but you are doing it for the 2D. In this case, now if I'm iterating through these are the rows and these are the columns, right? So I take some value t and they take the first value of this matrix, and then I look for those the next one and the above one, right? And then actually I actually subtract the one from the opposite side, and then I get this value and add this to the sum, which is my output. That is what I'm storing some other place. Okay, so this is the sum. So now again, so now till here it is correct, right? You do a prefix sum for the array and sorry, the row and column. So, but then this part I didn't understand. Like when you're going through this to actually find out the max value, right? So because you need to find the max value, right? So it was
yeah.
slightly difficult for me to understand this. So because
So
why
what
why
is,
I'm doing it in this for loop only? I'm sorry, who is that?
yeah, it was me. I was just looking at this. The rectangle inside the matrix must have an area greater than 0. So how do we check that? Like,
Yeah, I think this area to be greater than 0. Um, so
so we
area
were
to be greater than 0,
talking,
it will be like your R and C, the value should be greater than 0. So if it is 0, then it won't enter this loop. That is what I think.
one and for the input matrix in the example, we were considering 101 also equal to 2, but like explanation, we are seeing 0, 1 and minus 2, 3. So I think that is taken because area greater than 0, and we can't consider 101 because it will not have any area. Maybe that's the reason.
1 cross
Mm,
3 is the area.
it'll be
Like,
1 cross, yeah, yeah.
but it's not actual area like boundary area. Like area is like segments, right?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, Uday was on that.
No. Actually, what I have said might take actually row square into column square actually with the prefix sum. I'm not sure what they are trying to do here,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're doing with a normal prefix sum, you need to take every ij and every row size and column size possible with that, and you try to find. So that is like r. Yeah, r square into n square, r square into c square.
Okay. So if I just rightly understand that, so you are trying to say, okay, where is this undo? Clear, right? Yeah. So if you have something like a matrix, right? So first you say that we need to find the prefix sum for each and every element, right? So all of them. Okay. And then you need to traverse the whole array again.
Yeah, so you pick every ij, and for every ij you pick row length as 1, column length as 1, row length as 2, column length as 1, column length as 2, something like that.
Okay. So this way, this way, this way, this way, whatever it is for each and
Yeah,
every
yeah,
element. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. So if you have already the prefix sums,
Uh-huh.
you can, I mean, you can actually calculate uh, the in between sums.
So, okay, if I'm at this location, okay, so
Yeah.
then I need to go for each and every locations before that, or just go to the opposite one, or maybe to the first 0th position.
Let me tell you like this. So can you write some values, some prefix sums? Some one,
Okay,
two.
so this will be one, maybe, I'm not sure if they're the correct ones, but fine. So shall I just write some random values? That should be fine.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, okay. Uh-huh. We just take some values, okay. Maybe
Yeah,
they are not prefix sum, but we'll just take values for indication. Yeah.
yeah. So you take the prefix sum for all of the 0, 0 to ij. I mean, so you populate for every for the first row it will be 1, 3, 1, 3, 6. Second row it would be 5, and next row it would be 1 plus 2 plus 4, 5, something like this.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
for every so first you pick 0, 0,
Mm-hmm.
and then you try to find then you try to well, if 0, 0 is the topmost left element, you try to pick row length of 1, column length of 1. Next you
Mm-hmm.
pick row length of 2 and column length of 1. uh, since you've already the prefix sums calculated, that
Uh-huh.
would be n square, right? Now you can easily calculate what will be the uh, required, what will be the sum for the ij as the topmost left element with row length as r and column length as c.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you'll
But
have to go through iterate till you get to that k value, right? Uh-huh.
yeah. So you are picking every ij
Mm-hmm.
and you are picking every r and c. So that is becoming r square, c square, something like that.
Mm. Oh, you're talking about the time complexity. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
What these Kadanis they were using? I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
actually could.
I'm slightly getting it now, Uday. That is right. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry, Shashank, you had some other way. You said Kadan.
Yeah, I was no. I mean, I couldn't understand it exactly, but something they were using like Kadane's algorithm, calculating the prefix sum for each row. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is visible, right?
It is sharing. It's still sharing. Don't see anything.
Oh,
Yeah, now, yeah.
bits. Yeah. So I was saying like they had this matrix and they had for some purposes. So some they'll update you. But that was
Is he audible?
Yeah, Shashank, your voice is breaking. I think he has some network problems today. Yeah.
Santosh, can you explain like what you understood from that Uday, which Uday was explaining?
Yeah. Okay, now he's sharing it, right? So Uday was saying like first you calculate the prefix sum, right, of the whole thing, and then you pick up one element. Like we started from the top left element, right? So with the top left, you need to go to all its rows and columns until you don't hit with the find the value k. You know, any value lesser than or equal to k. When you find a value lesser than or equal to k, then you just have to return that output. So you need to traverse it again for each and every element, right? Till you find the value k. Right, Uday? That is what you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So you calculate prefix sum for every rectangle. I mean, 0, 0 to every ij. That will be pre-processing, and every ij you need to pick, and for every ij you need to pick R and C appropriately, and you calculate since you have already the pre-processed array of prefix sums, you can get the.
Okay. So let's take this example what we have, so it might be very clear. So we have this 1, 0, 1, and then we have 0, -2, and 3, right? And our k is 2 in this case. So if we do a prefix sum, so this will be 1, this will also be 1, this will be 2, right?
Yeah, this will be.
Yeah, this will be 2. This will be 1, and in this case will be 1, 2,
Minus
1. So 1, 2 minus 1 will be 1, and 1 minus 2 will be -1, right? In this case?
Yeah.
Okay. And in this case, you have -1, 2 will be 1, and then it will be 0, and this will be 3, correct?
Yeah.
So now you
Can
start.
explain how did you get the -2 as -1?
What do you do whenever you're finding a prefix sum of a matrix? You actually add this value with this value and subtract this value.
Okay.
Because you already had this value added over here 2 times, right? Therefore, you are subtracting it once, and then you add with the current one.
Right.
Therefore, you get minus. Yeah. So now, Uday, when we start from this one, right? We start from the first element. So this is the 0th row, right? And this is the 0th column. So then you take this value first, right?
Yeah.
The prefix of 1, and
So
then
0, 0, first one, and the row length is 1 and column length is 1. So only one, the rectangle will be length of 1 itself. Now it will be 0, 0 itself. Now I got the answer. I mean, that is one solution.
Okay.
And now I increase the row to, I mean, row length to 1. I mean, I will row length to 2 and column length is 0 itself. So it will become 1, 0. I mean, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1.
0, 0, 0, 1. Okay. So this 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay.
Yeah. Now I will do a 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, sorry, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2.
Okay.
Now I will increase the row length to 2.
Okay. So now you will take this one as well as this one, whole of this. Okay.
Yeah. I think I got the what Kaden is Sashank is trying to tell. So
Okay.
you don't have to. I mean, when you are calculating. So when you are calculating this prefix sums, You can actually add the next row. I mean, you can actually you have to just have to add the columns to the previous values itself.
I think I
Let me
sort
pass
of
that.
got it.
Okay.
So basically, you're taking the difference of two prefix sum values, right? And then the question is where the squares are, you're taking the difference from. So you have an outer square and an inner one. As long as the outer one kind of extends, the inner one has to be contained in the outer one. So if you just take the difference of all, essentially it's like you're scanning through this matrix, and then that's why in the code there's two, I think there's two parts, because one of the, it just goes through the row and column, and then you have to go through every lesser row and lesser column that's contained inside this row and column.
Okay. So whenever you calculate till that place, you just go through the inner version of that, whatever you calculated, and then you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But yeah, Uday and Shashank actually were referring to Kadan's algorithm actually. So because that might be a slightly better way of doing it, efficient way of doing it. Yeah. Sorry, Uday, go ahead.
I passed the link for similar problem.
Okay.
That will explain that. That is a similar problem itself.
Okay. Shall I stop sharing and take that one?
Yeah. I mean, I passed that link in the chat.
Okay. So the Geek of Geeks. Okay. Do you want me to share on the chat? I'll just share it quickly. This one, right? Is the Geeks for Geeks one, right? Uday?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. The naive solution is what I was trying to say. That n r square c square is n power 4. And they are trying to do in an n cube way. So they fix one left row or left column, and they gradually they reuse the solutions for the previous. So if they take either row or a column, whichever is smaller, I mean here it is both the dimensions are equal, so they just take one. I think they fix the one column fixed and try to increase that column. They try to increase that column towards the right side. And so for the whenever a new column is added, they just try to add that new column values to the previous ones.
So you're trying to say they don't calculate a prefix, right? Prefix sum here.
They calculate. I mean, they don't actually prefix. It's not like a prefix, but it's a cumulative sum.
Oh, okay.
Right. I can explain this, like if there's.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Sure.
So basically, just this example only I can explain. So basically, what they do is they, as an offset, they maintain 1, -8, 3, and -4. These four values. We have kind of fixed two pointers. One is the left column, and one is other is the right column. So we run two loops using this. So initially, my left pointer is at the 0th column, and my right is at the first column. So the next thing I do is I add the values, like 1 plus 2, -8 plus -3, 3 plus 8, and -4 plus -1. So I get some value. Now I apply cadence to this 1D array, and I find the this maximum subarray. So my left and the right column, those two indices, they give me the top left and top right, and using the cadence one, I can find the other two indices.
Okay. Yeah. Somewhat actually trying to get this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it's a complete different way of thinking, right? So yeah, it might be slightly.
Yeah, so
It
I
switching
I
over
think
might
the
be
brute
slightly
force
sometimes.
is difficult to calculate, the one
Yeah.
which they explained.
Yeah. But that's good one. Yeah.
A bit out of box it is.
Oh, you are back, Sashank? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
coming with something. Yeah, it's
Okay. Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah. 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 You can go ahead. You can even share this link. So yeah, you can go ahead and explain. Yeah. No problem.
I think same what Ronnie was explaining. This screen is visible, right?
Yeah. It is
No.
visible.
Okay. So this is what Ronnie was explaining. Like, what do you say? This is the matrix, right?
Mhm.
So we'll calculate the prefix sum of corresponding all the rows, corresponding to this, corresponding to second row and third row. And rather than calculating the entire, we'll just take two values, and depending on that, we'll subtract what maximum sum we have got over here. These two will subtract from this. What do you say? The what is the maximum sum which I have got from that particular
Okay.
row. I'm not that clear, right?
So for each row, you do that,
Yeah.
and then you keep on moving, adding more rows,
Exactly, yeah.
and fixing the columns first. And
First,
then when you find it is okay, or if you don't find, you move the columns.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
And what is
I
your
think
time complexity? It is O of n cube.
n because n square will be for matrix. It should be n cube.
Okay. Yeah. So that is. Yeah. I think. O.
We have to look for
Yeah.
that. I think. And for that,
Yeah. No problem. So it might be more work to again go through that. Yeah. But everyone was trying to explain it. Henny and Ronnie and Uday also. Right. So makes sense.
Let's see if we can come up with some efficient and we can share it in Discord.
No problem. Yeah.
Uday, can you share your brute force code or somewhere you found that code?
I think Uday was just discussing.
Yeah, I didn't code it actually.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is he started with that. Yeah. So, but the way the Geeks of Geek also, but I think the way Shashank is explaining is slightly different than what they are explaining in the Geeks of Geeks, right? Geeks for Geeks. His approach is slightly different.
I'll get more and clarify tomorrow. Because I
Yeah.
also
How are you applying, Shivan, why are you applying cadence to find that thing? Some
No,
less
I
than
think
here.
it's a similar approach.
exactly from that one you can do.
Sorry. Sorry.
They mentioned what is it? Some subarray they have mentioned like maximum of, other than calculating the prefix sum. It is not till tomorrow. Like next day.
Yeah, no problem. I think we might. Yeah, go ahead.
Is Sashank audible? Because I'm not able to hear him.
You are not audible. Actually, it is. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, no problem. Yeah, but this is something. Yeah, it's interesting. No issues. Yeah, we'll. Or maybe we can bring this problem in our Sundays session. So someone can take this. Is that also okay?
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. Let's give this
Al-
problem to one of them.
Also, if you don't mind, like, what is the timings for Sunday session?
It is 9 a.m. PST.
Okay.
So I think if it is India time, it should be IST 9:30 p.m.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the last topic discussed?
On Sunday, the last time what we discussed, there was no such a topic, but they were just discussing about generic interview things. What are the how it is to be approached and all that. It was more of a general discussion and how what people have problems and how do we overcome them.
All right.
So yeah, but this Sunday we might have some questions, so we can discuss.
And just
Okay.
one thing, Ronnie was saying that that answer thing should not be initialized to 1000 for the first question we were discussing.
Right.
Yeah, so I checked that one. Yeah, it should be 1000, but I don't know how LeetCode accepted my solution.
So it should be 1000 or it should not be
It
1000?
should be 1000. You said you were right. I could have initialized to the first 3 elements,
Right.
but
Maybe-
LeetCode accepted it.
Yeah, probably they don't have that test case, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, so sometimes they don't have all the test cases, but that is a good way of adding some test cases, so you also contribute to their community and as well as it's helpful for everyone. Yeah, I think that can be done.